So let's start about the why. So sellers in 3 different states, Illinois, Kansas, and Missouri, sued the National Association of Realtors and a number of big box brokerages for a couple of different reasons. Reason number one was because they felt that the way that the commissions were structured, it was increasing the cost of homes. It was making homes cost more. I don't know if I can agree with that because, you know, historically, selling your home has been like selling any other commodity. It's supply and demand. So if there's a lot of homes on the market and very few buyers, then of course the prices go down. In our situation right now, and for the past number of years, very few homes on the market and tons of buyers, and the prices go up. And then when you add to that the fact that interest rates dropped, at least for a time, then home values just rose exponentially. So I can't really say that I agree with that. But the second point I do agree with, and that was they felt that there wasn't enough transparency when it came to setting the commission with the listing agent. So when you go to sell your home, you hire a listing agent, you sign a document called a listing agreement that basically says, I am trusting you to help me sell my home. Now, in the way that things have been done in the past, you would supposedly negotiate with the listing agent for a commission structure. So whether it's 5%, 6%, 3%, whatever the case may be, you would negotiate with the listing agent, and that would be what you would pay total for listing your home. Then the listing agent would take that, and he would usually, in most cases, half of it would go to the listing agent, half of it would go to the agent that brought the buyer, which is in what we call the selling agent or the buyer's agent. So what they felt was really going on was, in a sense, there was some price fixing. And what they were saying is, everybody is asking for 6%, and that seems to be kind of the norm. Well, let me just say this, okay? In my experience in the past 10 years, and this is why I can say that I kind of agree, I have had brokers tell me, hey man, we're not a discount brokerage, so you need to make sure you get your 6%. And I have had agents say the same thing. Well, I'm not a discount agent. I get my full 6%, as though that was some kind of a badge of honor. But when I went through my real estate course back in 2014, it was pretty much stressed that is a negotiation between yourself and the seller. And so whether it's 2%, 5%, 10%, it doesn't matter. It's what you offer to the seller in terms of value and what the seller is willing to pay in order to, have that value. And so all of that was, negotiable. And so I kind of understand how, even when you look online, look at different videos from different real estate offices, you see a lot of that kind of stuff still. And the videos are floating around still on YouTube. And so I kind of understand why the sellers were pretty miffed about that, because they didn't know that they could negotiate down to whatever they felt comfortable with. And I'm sure that a lot of agents didn't know that they could negotiate with the buyer's agent and work out a deal with them as well. So there was a lot of transparency that wasn't there at the time that's going to be there now. So in a lot of ways, that's a good thing. The next thing was the next thing is they are decoupling the commission. Basically what that means is they are now taking the commission and basically decoupling it, saying, okay, the seller is going to pay their commission, the buyer is going to pay theirs. And so when you go to list your home, you're going to work out, just like you did before, with your listing agent, what you're going to pay them, whether it's 2%, 2.5%, 3%, whatever, it doesn't matter. 1%, it could be $1.50. It really doesn't matter. It's whatever you guys feel that you can come to an agreement on. Now, the same thing is going to be true when you go to buy a home. Now you're going to be talking to your buyer's representative and saying, okay, I can only afford X. Can you work with me for whatever that amount is. It could be a percentage. It could be a flat fee. It could be whatever you guys work out, but it's something that is worked out between you and your buyer's representative or your buyer's agent. So that's really going to be one of the biggest things that's going to change. And that's all going to happen around July. Now, the other thing that's going to change is in order for a buyer's agent to show a home, they're going to have a signed representation agreement, what's called a buyer broker agreement or buyer agency agreement. So that means just like when you hire an agent to sell your home, you're going to have to hire an agent to help you purchase a home. And you're going to have to sign a buyer agreement with that agent saying that that agent is going to work exclusively with you and you're going to work exclusively with them in order to help you find a home. So the days of you going through 5 or 10 different buyer's agents, hoping that one of them is going to find a different home on the market that nobody else has found, which, by the way, does not happen. That's just a myth. Those days are gone. Those days are gone. Now you're going to have to sign representation that pretty much says, I am choosing you as my representative to help me purchase a home. Now, the next thing that we've got to deal with is negotiating commissions. And that's going to be probably one of the biggest things. So the way this is going to work out, at least from what we know right now, you're the buyer, you're a first-time home buyer, you don't have a lot of money. You've barely got enough money for closing costs and for down payment. Okay, we get it. So you tell me, Vince, I want you to help me purchase a home and I want to sign a buyer broker agreement with you, but I can't afford to pay more than 1%. So as an agent who makes a living and does this full time, what do I do in order to make that work for you? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around and in the offer agreement, I'm going to ask the listing agent or actually ask the seller for an additional 1.5%, let's just say. And so now the seller is going to save money, but it's going to cost you a little bit because you're going to be paying for a portion of my commission. So this is going to be all worked out in negotiations. Maybe you tell me, I can't afford it, Vince. I want you to work with me, but I cannot afford it. Then what probably would end up happening is I would go to the seller in the offer agreement and say, okay, you need to pay me 2.5%. Okay. Maybe what would happen is rather than do that, maybe what I would do as your buyer's representative is say, okay, can we look at homes that only have representation commissions as opposed to homes that aren't willing to pay commissions for representation. So in other words, if we're only looking at homes where sellers have agreed to pay for representation for the buyer, then, we could go that way. Now, it gets really confusing at this point. And like I said, we don't know exactly where everything is going to go. We have a little bit of an understanding. We at this point know that we are going to have to split the commissions. We definitely know that there are going to have to be papers signed before you show a home. And we know that the commissions are going to be left off of the multiple listing service. So when I pull up a home, it's not going to show me as a buyer's representative what I'm going to make. I'm going to have to call that agent and find out. And that's something that is going to be a little weird, but I think we can get through it. And I think what we need to understand is as far as buyer's costs going up, yeah, I think in some cases, yes, but here's something interesting. So Alabama has been doing this for a while now. They've decoupled the commissions. They don't put them on the MLS. Everything that the settlement is talking about, Alabama's been doing well before. I've talked to some Alabama agents, and basically here's what they've told me. They said that for the most part, most sellers will pay both sides. Nothing has really changed in Alabama other than the structure. For buyers, that's actually great news because that means that there are options for you as a buyer to be able to get through this without upping your costs. The main thing that we want to remember here is that you're paying for representation. And you have to make sure that if you're choosing an agent to represent you, that they're going to add value. Now, I know that there's going to be a bunch of people, and I can't wait. This is going to be interesting. There's going to be a bunch of people that are going to come into the comments and say, you agents, you're a bunch of crooks. You make more money than you deserve. All you do is open up doors and let people in, and you offer no value. And you know what? After 10 years in the business, I'm going to agree with you. You are exactly right. There are a lot of agents out there that offer absolutely no value. They don't do anything to deserve what they charge. That's the God's honest truth, okay? I have seen them. I have actually worked with them, and it's terrible. It's terrible on my end, and I know that it's terrible on my buyer's end. So I agree with you. The things that I see that agents really, those types of agents, okay? Those agents, and I'm using quotey fingers for this, and I hate quotey fingers, but I'm doing it anyways just for you. I hate those types of agents. And the reason I hate them is because those types of agents offer no value, not only to the buyer, but they offer no value to me as a listing agent. When you try to talk to them, you try to call them, they don't pick up their phone. They have no idea how to negotiate. Negotiation to them is basically passing messages along. My buyer said, the seller said, my buyer said, the seller said, and they go back and forth, back and forth. They don't understand how to negotiate. They don't understand how to frame things properly. They don't understand how to negotiate the repairs. They don't understand how to get an offer accepted. There's so many things that they're just not doing that I have seen over the past 10 years that need to be done in order to offer good representation and in order to really educate and prepare your buyer to be able to purchase a home. One of the things that you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of people struggling with buyer's consults. Myself and my wife, we've been doing buyer's consults for years. A good buyer's consult prepares you for going out and purchasing a home. It gives you an A to Z. We call it. We tell our customers, it's sort of like drinking out of a fire hose. Okay, it's so much information, but it's all good information, and it keeps you from being freaked out or overwhelmed when it comes to actually making that huge purchase. And so a good buyer's consult that goes through every little detail, lets you know what all your costs are going to be, lets you know how negotiations are going to be conducted, lets you know how to choose what homes are the best homes, how to pick out the best areas. All of those things are done through a buyer's consult. And so these are the things that agents that aren't really that great are going to struggle with. They're not going to know how to negotiate. They're not going to know how to talk to their customers about all of this. And what I'm going to see, and I'm going to just say this, these are kind of my last thoughts. We're going to see a lot of agents that shouldn't have been agents to begin with leave the business. And for you as a buyer, that's a great thing, because that means that there are going to be less people out there that aren't going to be doing their job for you. And for me, as a professional agent that's been doing this for a long time, it's a fantastic thing, because that means that the people that I really don't want to deal with, that don't really have the professionalism that I want to see, aren't going to be in the business anymore. And so we're going to see a lot of shifts and a lot of changes in the market because of this, but I think it may push us into the right direction. So are your costs going to really go up? I don't know. They might, but then again, they might not. You look at the 4 loan types that are out there right now: USDA, FHA, conventional, and VA. Out of those 4, USDA already allows you to roll up commissions into your loan. So your out-of-pocket expenses don't really change because, you're not having to pay for it up front. Now, will Fannie and Freddie and the lenders climb on board with this and say, you know what, we're going to give buyers a break and let them roll up an FHA loan, let them roll up a VA loan, which VA does not allow you to, do any of that at all, and neither does FHA or conventional. Will they kind of soften up the ruling on that and allow that to happen? We don't know, and we won't know until after July. So a lot of this is still up in the air. All of these changes are going to take time to get through. But, okay, big but if you are diligent in keeping up with what's going on, making sure that wherever you're at, I know that we're in Central Florida and Tampa Bay, but you've got people all over the country that are watching videos about this. If you're watching a video and you're in Tennessee, you're in Georgia, you're in New York, you're wherever you are, make sure that whatever information you can find on an agent, that you check it out, that you look for the veracity of it. Make sure that it's not just a bunch of reviews that have been thrown up there because they purchased a review package, through Fiverr or one of those. You want to make sure that the agent that you're looking at actually can do what they say they can do for you. And you want to make sure that you vet them as best as you possibly can before you start working with them. So, final thought, like my last final thought. If you've been thinking about purchasing a home in the Tampa Bay or West Central Florida area, anywhere from Sarasota, Manatee, all the way into St. Pete, Clearwater, Tampa, New Tampa, or even in Polk County, Lakeland, Winter Haven, check out the link that is in the comments. It's pinned, that has my Calendly link. Click on that, set an appointment to talk to me. Even if you're out of our area, let me know. We have referral partners that can help you, but I would love to give you more information. If you need more information on this or have specific questions, feel free to let me know. I'd love to spend 15, 20 minutes on the phone with you and kind of help you figure things out. So hope you guys are having a great one, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Take care.